Shalom, people. This is Brother Lyles coming at you with another video. And I want to come to you with the thought that Satan or Santa needs to go to hell. Satan or Santa needs to go to hell. Why do I say this? How many years now has information been coming out that Christmas is a pagan holiday, that it has nothing to do with Yeshua, that it was an amalgamation of all different beliefs and religions across the ages, and there has never been a codified thing called Christmas really until it was made into this commercialized thing that we call Christmas. That it was not such a thing. It was but yet another fairy tale, another pagan altar that our people, above all others in not just in here in America, but even Africa, we promote to the hilt. And it is a thing that puts us in a lot of debt. It has nothing to do with Yeshua. And if you want to use the thought that, hey, you know, it is a time where family get together, but when does the Most High Yah have to use a foundation of evil to get us as a family, if we really are family in the sense of family of the Most High Yah, for us to get together? And that's not even, try to use the thing of, okay, well, what else what other holidays or whatever do we have? Do we have to have one? When Yeshua left this plane and he went back up to be with the Father, he stated that we were to keep the Passover in remembrance of him. He said everything was a foreshadow of him. The only most important thing that we need to remember is his death, burial, and resurrection, and that he is coming back. We don't need to use some pagan birthday or death of Tammuz to remember our Savior. We don't need it. We were brought as Black people, as Hebrew people, as people on the continent, we were brought into this paganism. And it's about time that we said to hell with all these different things. We see here in America the tough economic times that people are going through, and yet they're gonna go up and run out credit cards and do all these different things again when our homelessness is at an all-time high among some of our people, but that we will still pour our money into these people's pagan holidays. We must say the hell with it. We must say it's got to go, that Satan, Santa, has got to go to hell. We got to do it. We always talking about white supremacy and all these things, but what is some of the biggest things that we're promoting in our children's mind? Even so much so that, in the 70s, in order to try to co-opt it, we said, we had the song that came out that Santa Claus is a Black man, which still never sold over in our people's community, but that they still went to the white Santa because we, just like the lesson that I'm uploading now about us bowing at the altars of others, we have a propensity to love to bow at the altars of others. And Christmas is one of those altars that we are always bowing at. Although there's tons of evidence out there about this thing, even amongst the Gentiles, even some of the Gentiles. Remember before people stopped dealing with Halloween, right? That for years people were like, I don't want to hear it, I don't want to hear it, I don't want to hear it. So then when they finally start getting it, then people say, okay, yeah, it's a pagan. So then let's go to the trunk or treat. But even now, there's some people that are understanding if the root is evil, you got to leave it alone. He said he is coming back for assembly without spot or wrinkle. And this is more than just a spot. Christmas, Xmas, whatever you want to call it, needs to go to hell. We have far more important things. You have 365 days a year that you can get together with your family. We always have the excuse to mess around with these imaginary things, these holidays and things, and put ourselves into debt, family divided, high suicide rate, high robbery, all these different things for a day or whatever that promotes, again, consumerism. And so again, I don't know if I did one last year. I think I did, but I'm gonna do a short little presentation again to give you little tidbits to show you that these things of Christmas are of paganism. And then if you now we have no excuse for ignorance, being ignorant of it, because it is here. It is here, right here. The internet is a great equalizer. Is the great equalizer. So I'm just going to read from this article from this site called AccuTeach, and it's the author of this is a guy named Floyd Brooks, and the name of the article is "The Shocking Pagan Origins of Christmas Before It Was Christmas." And again, this is just one of tons and tons of articles that you can. Of course, you're going to get some tons of articles by the quote unquote Christian, westernized Christian church. They're going to tell you, don't listen to what they're saying. It doesn't have anything to do with this. Don't listen to this thing. Do you see what's going on in this world? Most High is trying to wake his people up. So let me go. I'm not gonna read this whole thing because it is so long. It's got so much information. I'm telling you, if you go through this whole thing, if you're not convinced at the end that Christmas is not a pagan holiday and that it's something that we should not be dealing with, then something is wrong with you. The time of ignorance where Yah winked at our ignorance is over. You have no more excuse. Okay, so I'm gonna read little tidbits of this. If you want to read it for yourself, I'll try to put a link in the description box. But I'm gonna read a little bit of this. It said Christmas is the time of the year when followers of Christianity celebrate the quote-unquote birth of Jesus. This birthday was held in the cold dead of winter on December 25th. This period is marked by staying up late, colorful decorations, partying and revelry, grandiose feasts, catchy carols, decorating Christmas trees, and waiting for Santa. So what is the true history of Christmas? Is this celebration biblical? Christmas was not always called Christmas. In the words of Hans J. Hildebrand of the Encyclopedia Britannica, the English term Christmas, Mass on Christ's Day, is of fairly recent origin. So it's just recent. This is not something that even in the pagan world they was dealing with. It's a conglomeration of a bunch of different things. Let me keep reading. The earlier term Yule may have derived from the Germanic Yule or Anglo-Saxon Gul, which referred to the feast of the winter solstice. Many of us have been led to believe that this deep winter celebration was based on scripture. Is it a coincidence that the world over celebrations of this nature take place in the middle of winter or on the winter solstice? The winter solstice is the most popular time of the year for winter celebrations. The winter solstice is the time of the year when the Earth's axis tilts the farthest away from the sun on the northern hemisphere. Consequently, this causes the winter solstice to be the longest night of the year. After that, the days start getting longer again. This also officially marks the start of winter. The Elohim of the Hebrews, Yahuwah, warned his people not to worship the host of heaven, sun, moon, and stars, etc., or other creation after they were delivered out of the land of Egypt. Deuteronomy 4:19. This was a commandment. The root of this celebration. Nimrod, who, by the way, was a black man, was a mighty hunter before the Lord. Genesis 10:9. Nimrod is credited for building great cities such as Nineveh and Babylon. He was a rebel. He built the Tower of Babel. He tried to turn people away from the mighty Yahuwah. Yahuwah had to stop the construction of this tower after the languages of men were confounded to end the Tower of Babel construction. The people were scattered to the four corners of the world. Genesis 11:9. After the death of Cush, Nimrod took his mother Semiramis as a wife. Nimrod soon died himself. His body was cut into pieces and scattered throughout his kingdom. Semiramis taught the people that the only body part that remained missing was his male member. So he had gone to the sun. His name should now be called Baal, the sun god. She taught the people that Nimrod was the father of her unborn child, and the baby was conceived by him through the rays of the sun. For his presence and power to reign supreme, phallic symbols and fire should be lit to honor him. The supposed child of that union is Horus Tammuz, the reincarnate of Nimrod. Semiramis claimed a full-grown evergreen tree sprang out of the roots of a dead tree stump. This symbolizes the springing forth of new life for Nimrod. On the anniversary of Nimrod's birth, December 25th, she said Nimrod would visit the evergreen tree and leave gifts under it. This is the genesis of the Christmas tree, the symbol of Nimrod. This equates to approximately 9 months after Easter, or the day Ishtar became pregnant with Tammuz. Nimrod reincarnated. It says, according to Tazak Zadam in his book Only a Few, he writes, for centuries, Tammuz's birthday, which was December 21st, was celebrated with feasts, rivalry, and drunken orgies. After the myth of Nimrod was taught, his incarnations started showing up in a number of cultures around the world. From the Babylonians, for example, the Babylonians had many gods. Their chief god was Marduk or Marduk, which you can find that in Jeremiah 50:2. Marduk was known by the titles Baal, or Lord. Baal, the sun god, is now everywhere. Some scholars have also concluded that the Christmas tree may be a male phallic symbol of eternal life. The erections of such symbolisms have been around for thousands of years. Ancient nations of Ethiopia and Egypt had an abundance of phallic symbols. Some are still standing today. The ancients revered the sun. The obelisks were constructed to symbolize a frozen ray of sun. Even today, one can track down over to the nearest graveyard and see phallic symbols in abundance. This was a way to pay homage to the sun god. Today, the tallest obelisk in the world is not in the land of Ham, such as Egypt or Ethiopia. Instead, it is located in the capital of the United States. And me and my wife went there. This monument, held in place at the top of the pyramid, stands an impressive 555 feet. It is called the Washington Monument. Did you know that some of the most powerful and influential men in history have phallic symbols dedicated to them? The cutting down of the tree has significant meaning. This signifies the premature death of Tammuz. As part of this custom, the people would cry and mourn for Tammuz. The star placed at the top of the tree most likely signifies the sun god. or fire god, Saturn, Moloch, Marduk, Rephaim. And Moloch, you read about, is the one that the people burned their children to. The star could also be a representation of Semiramis herself, which is the queen of heaven, which Yah told the people not to worship the queen of heaven, which is what Mary worship is in all these Catholic countries, which in America is the worship of Lady Liberty. One of her symbols was an 8-pointed star. The pagan worship of stars, the sun, the moon, and other planetary objects have been popular since ancient times. Semiramis is known by many names around the world. Some of these include the Mother of God, Ishtar, Easter, Astaroth, Astarte, Astar, Ashur, Enu, and Nina, and Isis. She is the goddess of fertility, love, war, sex, and power. Right? And so I'm gonna leave that. We're gonna go into the tree worship. In ancient Europe and many pagan nations around the world, the worship of the tree was very common. Trees played an important role in the spiritual lives of people. The people had animalistic beliefs. According to the Merriam-Webster Dictionary, animalism is a belief that all plants and animals and objects have spirits. In Rome, where Weebo writes, the sacred fig tree of Romulus was found in the Forum. This tree was worshipped throughout the age of the Roman Empire, and if a citizen thought that the tree was drooping, a hue and cry went out, which was answered by citizens running with buckets of water as if they were putting out a fire. In Northern Europe, the Germans tied fruit and attached candles to evergreen tree branches. This was done in honor of their god Woden or Odin. The third day of the week, Wednesday, was named after this pagan god. These trees symbolize eternal life to them. The Hebrews, we can read, committed abomination with the Ashtaroth grove throughout the scriptures. Now, let me tell you what the Ashtaroth poles, they would a lot of times in the form of these obelisks, and like when in the book of Numbers, when Balaam was trying to get them to sin, to curse themselves, when the Hebrews were coming through this valley where the Moabite women were dancing around the Asherah poles, you got to understand that these women, who, remember the Moabites, Hebrews, whatever, they were black women. They were basically pole dancing, because that's what they would do. They would dance around the astrum poles nude. And when the Hebrew men seen them, they went down there in the valley and had sex with them and cursed themselves. You remember in the book of Numbers where when Phineas, the son of grandson of Aaron, seen this prince of Israel with a Moabitish woman, took her in the tent, was having sex with her. He took the javelin, and while they was engaged in sex, he thrust the javelin through both of them, thrust it to the ground, and stayed the plague. This is what all this stuff, this painted up to be so beautiful and everything. This is the origins of this stuff, this astral pole, right? He said there's usually a grove near an altar of Baal. They would decorate these abominations by making hangings for them. This is because they represented Nimrod and his mother Semiramis, which was perversion. This is sun worship. This is idolatry, right? And so again, this is idolatry. The punishment for our people at that time, right? He said that they were not to weep for Thomas. That's what Yah told them, and celebrate and learn the ways of the heathen, right? This is Jeremiah 10, starting at verse 2. He said, Thus saith the master, learn not the way of the heathen, and be not dismayed at the signs of heaven, for the heathen are dismayed at them. For the customs of the people are vain. For one cutteth a tree out of the forest, the work of the hands of the workmen with the axe. They deck it with silver and gold. They fasten it with nails and with hammers, that it move not. They are upright as the palm tree, but speak not. They must needs be born, because they cannot go. Be not afraid of them, for they cannot do evil, neither also is it in them to do good. And so we're going to move on from that into, what it, uh, the Saturnalia worship, which was also poured into this thing called Christmas. Saturnalia, the sun god festival, the Romans. There were other midwinter celebrations throughout the pagan world. They have not gone anywhere. They are still with us today. Some of the most influential rituals and religions of pagan Europe have been absorbed into Christianity, because that's what Christianity was, a construct of them. It was not something that the Most High gave to us, just like the Most High Yah did not give us Judaism, right? That was a construct of our people, which we wasn't supposed to do. He said that the Roman Empire had a winter solace celebration called Saturnalia. Saturnalia was their way to give thanks to their god Saturn. This pagan god was truly influential. Even the day of the week that we call Saturday was named in honor of this Roman god. How about the planet Saturn? Yes, him. By the time this winter celebration came around, all planning was complete. Saturnalia was religiously celebrated from December 17th to December 24th. This was a time of great merrymaking. Social order was inverted and the people indulged. According to Encyclopedia Britannica, Saturn's great festival, the Saturnalia, became the most popular of Roman festivals. December 21st was especially special. This day of climax became known as the Bacchanalia. According to Merriam-Webster Dictionary, Bacchanalia was a pagan festival held at the winter solace, from which some features of the celebration of Christmas seem to have originated. During this time, public gambling was permitted. Slaves were allowed to take part in the celebration, and they did not have to work. Colorful dinner clothes were permitted in public. The Phrygian cap, a felt cap normally worn by free slaves, symbolized the freedom of the season in Rome. To symbolize this freedom, an innocent Roman citizen was selected to indulge in everything they so desired. This person was called the Lord of the Misrule, a king for a day. The Lord of Misrule was sacrificed on the final day on the altar of Saturn. This dramatic end to this short rule was a way to end the period of social disorder and return to normalcy. Oh, wow. We're going to move on from that. We're gonna go to this part of the article, the growing influence of Christmas. Undoubtedly, the worldwide celebration of Christmas today can be traced back to European domination of the world, bowing down to others' altars. Throughout Europe, various forms of similar winter solace celebrations were held. In Greece, there was a celebration held to honor Dionysius. This god was identical to the Roman god Bacchus. Bacchus was a child of Jupiter, Zeus in Greek. According to Roman myth, Dionysius, the god of wine, great harvest, and included parties, festivals, wild celebrations, madness, chaos, drunkenness, ecstasy, and fertility. December 21st marks his birthday. This feast lasted for 12 days on the 12th day of Christmas. These days of wild celebration and excess robbery were called Bacchanalia. The days were marked with great feasts, which included parades of naked women and public sex. This celebration had left footprints around the world in form of carnival, Bacchanalia, and Mardi Gras. In Finland, they have the uh, Biwi festival. They worship the sun goddess of fertility and sanity. The pagan god is sometimes shown as a male figure. At winter solstice, white animals, properly white reindeer, were sacrificed. All right. Many, and then it goes on to talk about um, the Slavic people also celebrated something called Ketchachon. This pagan festival is very similar to Samhain. This holiday was held in honor of the black god Choroborg. According to Encyclopedia, the black god survives in numerous curses, and a white god, Balaborg, god of light and sun, whose aid is sought to obtain protection or mercy in Bulgaria, Serbia, and wherever. Okay, now Yule. It talks about in Northern Europe, they celebrated Yule. This is where the majority of the Christmas traditions in the English-speaking world derived their Christmas tradition. This celebration lasted for 12 days. Again, the 12 days of Christmas. As part of this celebration, feasting and revelry were common. Great bonfires were also lit. The night before the Yule was called Malahith. Malahith means Mother's Night. During this night, the spirits of dead women and female deities were honored. It was called Desiree. Some of the traditions of the Yule include the Yule tree, Yule log, Yule goat, Yule boar, and Yule singing, just to name a few. The Yule tree became the Christmas tree. This tree was decorated around the winter solstice. The men of the household would cut down evergreens from the forest and bring them into their homes. Families would light Yule logs, usually from the preceding year. They would eat, drink, and make merry until the logs burned out. If the log burned until morning, it was considered a good omen. This celebration honored Father Winter and Snow Queen, of whom the land of Scandinavia is thought to have been named. It is believed that each spark of the log represents an animal, such as a calf or a pig that would be born in the new year. The Yule goat was one of the most popular aspects of Yule at its height. Okay, so we're not gonna. Okay, we're gonna read this because this has to do with Krampus. A remnant of this celebration is held today in various countries across Europe. It is believed that the Nordic god Thor rode through the sky on a chariot pulled by two goats. The function of the Yule goat is not fixed. In some societies, the Yule goat represented an evil spirit that went around demanding gifts and punishing children who were bad that year. The Yule or Christmas goat is known as Krampus. Krampus was a companion of Santa Claus. Krampus would spank misbehaving children, eat them, or carry them off to hell. They even had a movie about it called Krampus some years ago. The Yule ham is another abomination that is a major aspect of the pagan Yule or Christmas today. Ham was an important in Yule celebrations as a result of the pagan god Freyr. According to the Encyclopedia Britannica, Freyr is the ruler of peace and fraternity, rain and sunshine, and the son of the sea god Norja. Freyr's mother is his father's sister. The pig was sacrificed to this pagan god. The pagan god Freyr is said to ride around on a boar by the name of, I'm going to butcher this, Sanyokwa, which means atonement boar. All right. So there goes your others right here, and then it just talks about why is the birth of Yeshua celebrated in such a grandiose way if there is no Bible basis for it. The few examples of birthday celebrations in the Bible, especially the ones after the dead, do not support the idolatry-filled celebrations of today. And it just talks about, you never see where it was a requirement in in the Bible to celebrate the birth of the Messiah. And yeah, and it's other articles in here, but if you really want to get to the crust of what this thing of Christmas is, I think the main part of what we consider to be this thing of Christmas was something really was a combination of commercialism that was brought about by the Coca-Cola company and them trying to revive sales. I'm trying to find it here. Because at one time, Christmas was actually outlawed in this country because of its paganism, right? Once I find that, I'll read it. Where is it at? Okay. Okay. So, okay. Give me 1 second here. Yeah, here it is. Christmas. Okay. Okay. Did Coca-Cola create Santa Claus? Before 1931, there were very few depictions of Santa Claus around the world, including a tall, gaunt man and an elf. There was even a scary Claus. But in 1931, Coca-Cola commissioned illustrator Haddon Sunbloom to paint Santa for Christmas advertisements. These paintings established Santa as a warm, happy character with human features including rosy cheeks, a red beard, twinkling eyes, and laughter lines. Sunbloom drew inspiration from an 1822 poem by Clement Clark Moore called A Visit from St. Nicholas, commonly known as "'Twas the Night Before Christmas," right? So there you go. What we consider to be Saint Nick was a creation, an illustration for cards, and yet we take all of this, stuff, which when even some of the English speaking nations at one time came to understand the paganism of it and outlawed it. But because America is a nation of rebels, they brought in and actually here it didn't really take off like that, but it was kind of cursory celebrated. I think the big thing of it came about at the end of the 18th century, beginning of the 19th century, and with the capitalism going full blown in Westernism, and that the Gentiles had pretty much, like they said, had control of this whole earth. They were able to plug it in, not just in here in America, in England, but also in hot places like Africa. Even some now you can see in the Middle East, you have people with Santa Claus outfits on. Remember what the Bible said in Revelation? It said the whole world will be deceived by Mystery Babylon, because all this goes back to Nimrod. It's just the religion of Nimrod being kept alive. But because, again, we are in the times of the Gentiles, it has great sway over us. And again, because our people love bowing at the altars of other people, not only have we grabbed hold to this thing, but we run with it, and we'll be the biggest proponents against you to argue you down about it. People write books and dissertations about it, and because again, I'm not saying that some aspects of it are enduring to some people's heart, but again, when you even read in Jeremiah where it talks about the people, bowing to the Queen of Heaven, she was endeared to their heart. They was endeared, but it was paganism. And Yah said, I will not have any other Elohim before me. But because we are living in this time, when the great falling away that Paul talked about back then, it was beginning back then in Paul's time. Think about where we're at now. Where we're at now, like I was talking in an earlier video about now the churches are openly talking about, growing marijuana and different things. They pretty much bowed and capitulated and said, yeah, we know that most of the people in the church is coming in smelling like weed, and the pastors, that's not even mentioned, talking about the cocaine age. This is nothing new. Now all of it is really being codified that it is okay. Just like some years ago when they had the Christian pole dancing. Remember? So again, this is where we're at. That Santa needs to go to hell amongst those who want to come out from among the ways of Babylon. And if you remember what I was reading, he said in all nations this thing was represented some kind of way. But what Babylon, in this iteration of Babylon, has been able to do is to codify it into this nice little neat thing that everybody can participate in. And you see it. I hear that the economies and many things of the African nation depend on Christmas, because that's when a lot of people come back to visit their family during the quote-unquote Christmas season, and that they probably celebrate it better than the Europeans do with lights and all this stuff. That it's a wonder where he said that it's going to be few that's going to find their way to Yeshua. That even amongst those that's trying to say that they, we the people, and that, we're not supposed to be messing with these pagan holidays, but they take the thing called Hanukkah, which I'm not really sure, how some are trying to, they're trying to say that it's something that should be celebrated, but that they all they're doing is making a substitute for it, when we need to be seeking to get our life on track. We are living in the last of the last of the last of the last days. And yet we still, halting between two opinions about these pagan holidays. We need to stop this. It needs to be burnt up, all of this. But again, he said he's separating the wheat from the tare. And he said there's going to be many that day they're going to say, look at all the great things that I did and in your name and all this stuff. I went out and bought Christmas turkeys and hams and all these, and I bought tennis shoes for everybody and all this stuff. He said, stop, far from me, thou that practice lawlessness that goes against my law. My law says that you will not worship the sun, moon, and stars, or things of these things. And you not only you practice lawlessness, but you teach lawlessness, that it is okay. That it is okay. He understands when you got the picture of the white Santa, you got a picture of the white Jesus, and then these elves and all these other kind of things, and you say, don't tell the children that it's not real. You want to ruin their Christmas. Telling you, we don't have no excuse no more. The blinders is off. If some of us want to accept the fact that we know that the blinders are coming off our eyes about who or what other people, let's take the blinders all the way off and understand that we need to stop with some of these things, because they're not a Most High Yah. Not to mention, if you look at the economic times that we are in, it makes no sense to do this. That we got to dial it back. But I think the Most High is going to make the conditions so that, here soon, You know, when things start drying up, it's gonna be bad. But it's still gonna be some people that's gonna be slave to this thing. And I'm telling you, it's not gonna look pretty. So with that, I'm gonna ask you to give this video a thumbs up. I'm gonna ask you to leave a comment. I'm gonna ask you to subscribe. Be blessed.